Reduced cognitive flexibility, the brain's ability to shift between ideas, adapt to change, and find new solutions, is one of the earliest and most overlooked signs of cognitive decline. It manifests as difficulty adjusting when routines are disrupted, frustration when confronted with unfamiliar technology or procedures, or a sense of mental rigidity that makes problem-solving feel slow and exhausting. These warning signs are not simply quirks of personality. They are often signals that the prefrontal cortex and its neural networks responsible for executive control are losing efficiency. When this happens, the brain becomes less efficient at updating information and more likely to cling to outdated patterns of thought. People experiencing this decline may find themselves saying, "I've always done it this way," more often, or becoming anxious in situations that require rapid adaptation. Left unaddressed, reduced flexibility can cascade into slower learning, weaker creativity, and diminished confidence in decision-making. The danger here lies in how subtle and cumulative the change can be. At first, it may look like normal aging or even preference, avoiding change, resisting new apps, routines, or problem-solving strategies. But this rigidity, if repeated, begins to train the brain against adaptation. Neural pathways that are not challenged gradually weaken, while repetitive habits strengthen automatic responses, creating a closed loop that limits innovation and curiosity. The brain, designed for dynamic updating, becomes a static machine, functioning efficiently only under predictable conditions. Over time, this loss of flexibility increases the risk of cognitive stagnation and even early decline in higher executive functions. A person who no longer engages in flexible thinking often loses social adaptability too. Conversations, technologies, and even relationships that require compromise or perspective shifting become sources of stress. Yet the brain's remarkable plasticity means that cognitive flexibility can be strengthened at any age. The key is exposure to novelty, regularly doing things that force the mind to update its internal rules. Strategy-based brain training apps and games that require multitasking, pattern recognition, or adapting to changing rules such as Brain HQ, Elevate, or Lumosity directly target these prefrontal networks. Puzzles, Sudoku, and logic challenges are also beneficial, but the most effective exercises combine unpredictability and strategy. Chess, bridge, and certain real-time problem-solving games are excellent examples. These stimulate both hemispheres of the brain, improve switching between tasks, and enhance the brain's ability to inhibit old patterns while embracing new ones. In daily life, you can reinforce flexibility through small but deliberate shifts. Change your commute route, cook a new recipe, learn a new digital skill, or try using your non-dominant hand for simple tasks. These subtle disruptions activate alternative neural circuits, forcing the brain to adapt in real time. Learning a new language or musical instrument is especially powerful because it requires constant updating of rules, symbols, and motor patterns, the essence of flexibility. Even social interactions that challenge your perspective, such as debating, teaching, or volunteering in new environments, keep the prefrontal cortex agile and engaged. Nutrition plays a crucial role in maintaining cortical plasticity. Antioxidant-rich foods such as berries, dark chocolate, spinach, and green tea help neutralize oxidative stress, which damages neural membranes and slows synaptic transmission. Omega-3 fatty acids from salmon, flaxseed, and walnuts are essential for maintaining fluidity in neuronal membranes, allowing for faster and more adaptable communication between brain cells. These nutrients literally make the brain more flexible at the cellular level. Regular intake of vitamins B6, B12, and folate, found in eggs, legumes, and whole grains, supports neurotransmitter synthesis, particularly dopamine and serotonin, both vital for motivation and adaptability. Hydration is equally important, as even mild dehydration can impair concentration and reduce processing efficiency in executive areas of the brain. Physical activity is perhaps the most powerful natural intervention for improving cognitive flexibility. Aerobic exercise, brisk walking, swimming, cycling, increases blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, stimulating the release of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that enhances neural growth and connectivity. Studies show that individuals who engage in regular moderate exercise perform significantly better on task switching and problem-solving tests. Movement-based activities that require coordination, such as dancing, tai chi, or team sports, are especially beneficial because they train the body and brain to adapt simultaneously. Exercise, therefore, acts as both a physical and cognitive workout, restoring the elasticity that sedentary or repetitive routines erode. Stress management is another vital factor. Chronic stress releases cortisol, which can damage neurons in the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, the regions most responsible for cognitive flexibility and memory. High-stress individuals often exhibit rigid thinking patterns because the brain, under constant threat mode, prioritizes survival over creativity. Mindfulness meditation, controlled breathing, or yoga can lower cortisol levels, calm overactive emotional circuits, and restore the cognitive bandwidth needed for flexible thought. Mindfulness training, in particular, teaches the brain to observe rather than react, a mental skill that translates directly into better adaptability during real-world problem-solving. Sleep also plays a critical restorative role. During deep and REM sleep, the brain reorganizes neural networks and prunes inefficient connections, a process essential for flexibility and learning. Without sufficient sleep, the brain becomes overburdened with unfiltered information, reducing its ability to shift between contexts. A consistent 7 to 8 hours of rest ensures that newly learned information is properly integrated, making future adaptations smoother and faster. To build lasting flexibility, structure your day with intentional variation. Alternate between routine and novelty. Work with focus for set periods, then introduce a new challenge or environment. Try integrating cognitive microbreaks, brief moments where you do something different, such as sketching, stretching, or learning a new fact, to reset mental adaptability. Combine this with a Mediterranean-style diet emphasizing colorful produce, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats to sustain neural health over time. The positive message here is that reduced cognitive flexibility is not a fixed decline, but a reversible imbalance. The same brain that becomes rigid from repetition can regain vitality through stimulation, movement, and nutrition. What matters is consistency. Daily exposure to novelty, regular exercise, mindful rest, and a nutrient-dense diet create the conditions for renewal. However, the warning must not be ignored. If the brain grows accustomed to predictability, its neural circuits gradually stop seeking challenge. The mind that ceases to adapt begins to age faster, even in youth. Therefore, treat adaptability as a muscle to be trained. Keep learning, experimenting, and questioning. Each time you step outside your mental comfort zone, you are rewiring your brain toward resilience, creativity, and long-term cognitive health.